We're at Lookout Cay. We are here at the island. Today is the first official stop at Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point on the island of Eleuthera in the Bahamas.
Yes.
There was a preview cruise and things weren't set up yet. But
Yes.
Today is supposed to be the first
official.
This is the inaugural cruise, and
Right.
So we are excited to go ashore and see what we
what's
see.
What? Yes, it's going to be interesting because we've been docked for about an hour and a half now. So the crew members been out setting everything up. So about a little while ago, the cruise director said that the gangways are open and we can head out now. So we're going to head out soon.
Before we go out, we decided to stop at Royal Court and get some breakfast. We heard that they were having some food service challenges during the preview and figured we would fill up in case we don't want to eat out on the port. But hopefully the challenges will be resolved soon, maybe even resolved by today. But just in case, we thought we would eat first. Despite my attire, breakfast in Royal Court always feels really fancy. The cups have etchings for Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty in them, and the china is just really nice, and the atmosphere is very regal and feels like going to tea or something, you know? So I like having breakfast here. Adam is also here, but he's not feeling chatty. Another nice thing about breakfast here at the Royal Court is that they have cappuccino cups. Adams finds the standard cups very difficult to hold because they're just so tiny. But with the cappuccino cup, he can put his fingers in there and it's a lot easier. So if you have dexterity issues, feel free to ask for the cappuccino cups. We've seen that isn't available at some other, on other ships, but this one it is.
Eggs Benedict with hash browns and smoked salmon.
After a hearty breakfast, which turned out to be an excellent idea, we headed out to the port.
The pier is long, very, very long. And so you can see it wrapping around, going all the way over. It's like a very long walk. The ramp heading down is not very steep. A little bit of a sharp incline, but it's all right. Those are the cabs that they take people to go back and forth, as the walk would be very long. But the waters look very, very nice and calm.
I'm on the shuttle or the taxi thing, island taxi, to get to that very long pier. Hello. See you there. So once we arrived, then you transferred to the tram. Now the tram is wheelchair accessible.
Yes.
And the tram is required if you're going anywhere other than the cabanas, the family cabanas. So the family cabanas have their own little beach and their own little area, and you can walk to them. So you don't need to get on the tram.
Just finished loading onto the tram. The walk from the pier, from the ship along the pier to the tram was fairly long, but finally made it. Now I am on the tram waiting. They're going to finish loading up right now, so there's probably a good amount of people that can still load on here, but we'll see what happens. It looks like we're about to go.
Please stand clear of the tram as we will be departing momentarily.
Alrighty, so we're about to head out.
Say hello to Lizzie the curly-tailed lizard.
Thanks for letting me tail along, Tracy.
And Sandy the line crab.
Hello, everyone.
I bet you two know a lot about Lighthouse Point.
We sure do. We were born here.
So we finally got to this tram stop, and it's about an 8-minute ride. So just be aware that if you're gonna ride it over, I'm not sure if you can walk it, but it's about an 8-minute ride from the first tram stop to this location.
Lines up both doors. One line to get in and one line to pay. Holy cow.
So everything it's because it's the first stop, everything does smell new. And so they have a lot of the wood, I guess, walkways that are above, I'll say about, 4 feet off the ground maybe? Over the
I think it was higher than that.
Hi, Enrique, everyone. Welcome. How are we doing today?
Good, how are you?
Excellent. So I will say at this point, this is stairs here.
Yes.
But I can show you the alternate option to get you as close to the beach as you can with the accessibility needs. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can either take the ramp right over here to my left-hand side here,
Okay.
right? Or you can take the ramp that's over to this side. This ramp will lead you to where you get all your snorkeling equipment.
Okay.
This ramp is just going to be a little bit towards the steps here. Towards the steps here. You see those steps to the actual beach area.
Got it. Okay. Great. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Currently, it does not look like we have any way to get to the water yet. But the water's down there, as you can see. But there's a lot of beach chairs. I wonder what that blue stuff is. Can anybody in the comments tell me what this blue stuff is on here? It looks like tape, but not quite sure. The fact that they have raised walkways over the ground is very, very good, convenient. It's not like at ground level and just a paved roadway. These are the covered seating areas. On the back side of that is where you can get drinks and water and such. They are numbered 1 through 4. So this is where you would come to sit and relax, I guess, after you grab your meal. There are a couple of spots in there that are accessible.
So we are on Lookout Cay, and we've been on the island for about an hour
What
now.
did you say? Coco Cay?
I said Lookout Cay.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
We've been on the island for about an hour. And what are your impressions so far, Adam?
It's very pretty. Everything smells new. You can smell the wood, and all of the walkways are above ground. And so far, so good. Unfortunately, the accessibility part still needs work. A lot of work, I think. There are ramps down to the beach, but they basically end at the sand instead of like going further out. So I did see accessible bathrooms or companion bathrooms. That's good. But yeah, it's so far it's nice. But again, more points.
So they don't have beach wheelchairs. That is super disappointing because they did say that they would have them when we booked, right? And so that's making the beaches inaccessible to a lot of people who are here. And they didn't tell us that in advance, right? They waited until we were here.
Right.
And then you ask about it and it's like, oh, sorry, we don't have those yet. Like, that's not cool. You have people come all the way out here.
Why did let people know at least?
You should have let us know. You know who's in wheelchair accessible cabins. You know who's indicated they have mobility issues. You should have said something. So that's a problem. In terms of other parts of the island, so instead of walking around on the sand, you're walking on all of these above ground decks, right? There's all these walkways. There isn't signage to indicate which ones are going to get you to the accessible beach path. Accessible, again, I'm using the term loosely, but basically it ends at the sand, so you can at least see the water, and then if you transfer to a beach wheelchair, then theoretically you would be able to go to the rest of the beach. So that's what they've done for access. I really hope they would have some mats. I don't see any of that. They did do some nice things. So like the pathways around the island are accessible. They just need signage. They even in where we're sitting, these tables, these picnic tables, some of them have cutouts for a wheelchair.
Yes.
Now, I see people who don't need them sitting at them, right? So I do think that people probably aren't, like they probably should get some stickers that say for wheelchairs, so people are like, oh, let me pick a different table, right? But they're here, and so that it's nice that they have sort of a cutout on these on these things for wheelchairs. Any other observations?
No, not yet. So we're gonna do. I think I'm gonna try to do a little bit more exploring to see what else they have, and then, yeah. Well, I guess we'll give you thoughts on that.
Yeah. Hydration, super important. So we walked around a bit, and then I got overwhelmed with the heat, truthfully, and so I needed to go sit down. So I went to one of these. I think we're outside. Yeah, we're outside of True 2 barbecue, and which is not open yet, and nor do we plan on eating there. But there's this nice seating here, so I decided to come sit down. There is a breeze that passes through. It's covered, which is nice, and it's attractive looking. So this is a comfortable spot if you just need to like take a break from the heat, but the heat is pretty intense and there's no real shade outside of these things. So just be aware of that. I do have a hat, I have water, but yeah, it was a lot. So I'm gonna need to like pace myself on this one because it really is like I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by the heat right now, or at least I was. I'm feeling a little better now. So the plan, I might try to get in the water, maybe. We'll see. He's not going to be able to, obviously, which is a bummer. So we're going to go do some exploring.
Ooh, this looks like a pretty nice view. Takes you down there, go across, and if you can see, it leads right there, but you can see it goes right up to the sand and it's blocked. So currently it looks like there's no way to get really, really close to the beach. Yeah. But otherwise, look at that water. The water looks so, so good. I'm hoping they just don't have a sign here, but it does not say it's an accessible bathroom. So I'm just hoping that it is, and all of them are, but that would be like weird for them not to put a sign. The lock is stuck. I cannot seem to get out. I've tried pushing it up. Am I gonna have to call for somebody? It's so hot out here. That may start a fire with that glass, but we're headed down towards the water. This is a no. Alrighty. So heading back up the ramp. Not sure what that sign was pointing to, but we're headed back up this way.
Okay, that goes that way. So this is the accessible beach path. It's down there. crosses over here, goes that way, ends down there. That is where the path ends. No Moby mats of any kind, unfortunately. There appear to be a lot of reserved chairs.
This is the second bathroom that I found so far, and this one is much more accessible, I believe. I could probably make it down there, or I could follow the sign. I think I'll follow the sign around. I made it down, guys. Just had to go and give it a little speed, and it just shoot me right off. So right now, we are headed towards Serenity Bay. They probably need more signs. This is Cabana, looks like number F, and so looks like they're lettered, going all the way down. I'm gonna try to remember to go ahead and blur out those people's names because we don't want to post people's names out there. But yeah, that's E, D, and so on. I'm not quite sure if they show if it's accessible or not. They look pretty though. It looks like Cabana A has an accessible ramp going down to the sand. Looks pretty larger, also has more space than the several ones I've just passed.
Cabana E is the regular size accessible cabana. So again, you can see there's a ramp there that goes to the beach, but then you would have quite a push to go to get to the actual beach. I mean, you are right near stairs and stuff here, but like, that's not helpful. Okay, I think I figured it out. So if you're in this accessible cabana, if you just want to be on the beach, then you can go out that front side. But if you want to go to the ocean, your best bet's going to be to come out here to the regular walkway. And then there is an accessible option there. This right here is the accessible pathway to the beach. And then you would come up here and then roll over here, and then that is the cabana, the first cabana.
So this is the adult only area, Serenity Bay. As my sister would say, wah wah. Because there is no way to get to the actual beach. I'm going to follow this around, but I assume it's not going to take me anywhere. And I can't get past that. That's too narrow of a way. So let me see if I can turn around without falling off and going into the sand. And yeah, so that was that. There's no further way for me to get on the beach itself. The walkway ends, but the beach is right there. I really, really wish I could get closer to the water. But unfortunately, that's not going to be the case right now. Just past the Serenity Bay where you get food and drinks, there's this little path, and I'm going to try to figure out where it goes. And I'm heading this way. Da, 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 la, 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 la. Oh man, I wish I brought my tripod so I can get a little bit higher view. But look at that water. That water is so, so good. But again, wah wah, I can't get to the beach. Okay. Gonna to make a U-turn and then see what else I can find. But I guess Disney is discriminating against me. me specifically. So, yeah. All right, we'll see what happens. We're not gonna also find out. That just looks so fake. Bye-bye, Mr. Crab. I am on another walkway to head down to the beach to see how close to the water I can get. Based on the past ones I've seen so far, doesn't look like I can get very, very close. This walkway looks a little bit narrow, but I can navigate it. Some people can sit behind here and here. Getting towards the beach again. And see how close I can get. And we're at the end. So you can probably get fairly close, but you can't get on. And there's no room for me to back up or turn around, so I'm gonna have to back up. So currently, it looks like it's a swing and a miss for the accessible ramps to the beach itself. I am not looking forward to driving this long road here. But that water, does not that water look amazing? It's just like a turquoise, yeah, blue. So pretty. Just like getting off the ship. Gonna have to go back up the ramp. Be careful not to touch the metal sides, as they are extremely hot.
Post Peach Day lunch.
Good evening. So here we are, the end of our first day at Lookout Cay, and so let's talk about what we did today.
When you book an accessible room and put that on your account, they modify your account to notify you of anything that needs accessible or may need additional assistance with. And one of the things that we got a little notice in our stateroom about we may need assistance walking the pier.
The pier is about a 20-minute walk in the heat, no shade. Because the pier is so long, Disney has a few 8-seater golf carts that they are using to go take people back and forth, 7 people at a time, from the ship to the pier. Because our reservation was noted that we had someone with a mobility challenge, they reached out to us, they gave us a card in our room and said, contact us if you want help.
Yeah, guest services, yeah.
Now, the island taxi is what as they're calling them, really isn't any help to Adam because it's not a wheelchair accessible vehicle.
No.
Maybe if you had a very collapsible chair, you might be able to work
like
something
hold
out.
on to it or something, but
Yeah, there's like a small cargo area in the back if they have fewer people in the vehicle, but that would be a challenge.
Yeah.
So it really is for people who are ambulatory but can't make the walk.
And
if you're in a push chair, just prepare.
You're gonna hike it. It's
You know, this is a moment for a smart drive. So because they gave us this offer, I took them up on the offer because I have my own set of mobility challenges right now. And I'm really glad I did because I think I would have passed out trying to do all that.
It was,
because it was just so hot and so long.
Yeah.
And I think it would have ruined my day. So they had us wait on deck 3 outside of the theater, and then there's some benches there, and then once they had like 7 people at a time, and they knew that the little
cart
buggy was
ready.
on its way, they sent us downstairs in groups, and then we got on the buggy, and then we met over, and then Adam rolled over in his chair and met us there. It was probably like 10 minutes or so later, like maybe 15. Like it was a while. And then, want to talk about how that was?
Yeah, because this chair is, as you guys know, this is my rental. And so this chair is somewhat slower. I feel a lot slower than my normal chair. And so even the max speed, it just goes. And so I stopped a little bit, took a couple of photos, and kept going and going. But it is a long drive riding up that pier. And so just be aware that you got to have good shoes on and be able to walk for like 20 minutes from the ship to the front of the, end of the pier where Lookout Cay starts.
Now, if you had a walker or rollator or something like that, I feel like that would probably be easy enough to take. I mean, you have to hold it, or somebody would have to hold it, but I think you could get that on the golf cart. So that is an option. So once we arrived, then you transferred to the tram. You have to get on the tram, and the tram, it's another like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It goes fairly quickly. So, they have like some audio. It's like these little crabs that are talking to you about the island.
Crabs.
Now, the reason they chose crabs to talk to you about the island is because there's crabs everywhere.
And they look cartoony and fake. To be honest, they're like bright orange and like
they're not Maryland crabs.
No,
to be clear, they're not Maryland blue crabs. They're Caribbean crabs, and they look very different. There's a bunch of different sizes, but there's this one particular type that part of it looks translucent. Like it's just
it's interesting. It's interesting.
They're the island pets. Like they are. I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
We drove past this one like bank that I just happened to be looking, and I saw at least 15 of them just like as we were driving by.
Yes.
Like there's a ton of them. They will be on the beach.
Yeah.
You just leave them alone, and they will leave you alone.
Yeah.
Now, I did see a couple of them that looked like they got stepped on or run over or something like that. So, watch your step. The crabs are there. It's their home. Just let them be.
Yeah.
They won't bother you if you don't bother them.
So after the tram's about a 10-minute ride to get to Gumbay. I think it's called Gumbay Tram Station.
I think so. The Gumbay Transfer Station.
Yeah, Gumbay Transfer Station. Tram Station. They let everybody off. The tram does have accommodations for 2 wheelchairs or 2 power chairs to be accommodated on one. So if you have 2 people in your party, you can.
That's per car, and there's like 3 cars that go at a time. So they do this funny thing where they have like 3, and they kind of caravan themselves each, and so like there's 3 that go and 3 that are coming. So there's kind of constantly a group of them. So at any given time, they have space for 6 wheelchairs.
Yeah, so
which is pretty good.
And so when we got off the ship this morning, it wasn't early. I think it was about 10ish or so.
9:45.
And so by the time we got there, place where you pick up merchandise,
Ooh, the merch line.
Was ridiculously long.
Now I did learn that the point of sale systems went down this morning, so I think that's why. Because there was one crazy long line, like out the store, around the corner, down the block, to get into the store, and then there was another line around and around with people with stuff in their hands
trying to make purchase. It was something.
I went after so we headed back to the ship probably around 1 or so, and I stopped and shopped, and I mean there was a line, but it was nothing like that. So and it was crowded, but again nothing like it had been this morning. So and they had these adorable little Mickey and Minnie, and they had plenty. Like when I tell you they had plenty, they had plenty. So do not rush. Do not
try to book your next cruise and get right away. No.
I don't think anybody's booking a cruise for these things, but don't feel like you have to do this first thing in the morning and carry them around all day. Like they were fine. I also got my ears, right? Like they had plenty. So, and this was the inaugural cruise, so everybody was trying to buy these, right? So it was fine. So don't even worry about that. But the merch lines. It was the first. It was the first
official stay.
Yeah,
so it was a lot of
people were mobbing. They do have a limit of 2. A lot of people were concerned that people were gonna resellers were gonna come and buy all the things. It was fine. It was fine. Right. So once you get onto the island, I think it's in order to protect the sand and the dunes and all of that. it's walkways. So you're not actually walking around like at
At ground
Castaway Cay,
level.
you're on the ground. You're not on the ground here.
No.
You're in a long
like walking
series
in
of
patios.
wood decks.
Yeah.
Right? Like deck
Yeah.
patio, right? And which is fine, except that they need better signage, because if you go down one path, you've gone a very long way to discover that you can't go any further.
Can't go any
like
further.
We've several times ended up like, oh, there's stairs here now. I
Yes.
guess we need to turn around.
Yes,
And when
that
you're
happened a couple of
walking
times.
besides said person in the wheels and it's hot, or the person in the wheels who's also hot, like that's frustrating.
Yeah.
To go all the way down a path and then realize you've gone to a dead end where
go
other
any
people
fur-
can go, and you've got to turn around and figure out which of these ridiculously long paths. And so, like, if they had signage, it would be a great system.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I saw a total of 2 little circles that had wheelchairs on them pointing in a direction, and it didn't tell you where you were going, just that a wheelchair could go there.
Yeah,
So like you had no
yeah.
idea where you're going to end up. You just know that it's a path.
That was
So that was challenging.
Yeah.
But it's fixable. It's very fixable with
just
more signage.
More signage and more clear signs and things like that. Yeah.
The way that the island is divided up, when you're actually going to go to the beach, there are some pretty significant dunes. To get to the beach part, you have to go like up some stairs, over a flat, and down some stairs to go over the dunes. There are several places on the map that are indicated as accessible beach pathway. What that means is that they've created a back and forth, like they've created a set of ramps
Yeah.
to get you to the sand. Once you get to the sand, the ramp ends sand.
And the sand begins.
Right. There wasn't a concrete barrier there. So,
I did find one actually.
one of them did? Okay.
One of them did, yes. But again, it was little, small, like maybe a good 4-foot, 5-foot patios, concrete, but then it's sand.
The one Adam is describing takes you to the sand before the dunes, but as you can see, there are stairs to get to the water. The only one that we found to get to the water was the one between the Family Beach and Serenity Bay.
So there's
Moby mats.
sort of nowhere to go. Moby mats, beach mats would be such a game changer here.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they haven't done that. Like, I honestly feel like I need to go find
Somebody
whoever's in charge for accessibility and just like go have a conversation. Because the other thing that they don't have is beach wheelchairs. Now it's advertised that they were going to have beach wheelchairs. So I gotta assume somebody screwed up.
Right.
Because they're not here.
Right.
And so and they didn't tell us that. Like, they knew that we had mobility concerns. They sent us a little card.
But again,
They could have included in that little card, oh, by the way, sorry, we don't have the beach wheelchairs. So no one in a wheelchair was able to enjoy the beach today. And that's not okay.
Yeah.
So that was a big disappointment, is that they opened and didn't have these in place.
Yeah,
It's not okay.
Because they spend all this money, they do have the accessibility team. There is a team. I'm thinking somebody on there has to be thinking about, all right, let's get somebody in a wheelchair on our team so they can figure out and think about this stuff. Because having somebody who works on a team and having somebody who's actually affected physically by being in a wheelchair are 2 different things in my mind. Mm-hmm. Because when I think of things being accessible, the bathroom's accessible, has grab bars. Okay, does that power door though?
Right.
Does the latch open and close? Because
how were the bathrooms? Did they have power doors?
No, they did not have power doors.
Okay.
The bathrooms did not have power doors.
Even the companion ones?
Even the companion ones, no power doors. Which somebody had to help me when they had to open it over me because it was kind of heavy.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But
we've heard the same about the accessible cabanas, that the doors are heavy. Now, they had, at one of the accessible cabanas today, they had cast stationed in front of them. And I don't know whether they put them there to help them with the doors or what, but I was like, that was interesting.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
The chair made a weird noise. I thought maybe the motor was angry. Yeah, so that was a little weird. Now, there's other things that they've done well on the accessibility front, like they have picnic tables, and at several of the picnic tables,
yeah.
they have a cutout for a wheelchair.
Yes.
Now, I wish they had a little wheelchair sticker so people would realize that was what that was for. But they had wheelchairs, you know, so like they, so
designed.
It's like they thought they've been really thoughtful about some things, and some things they've just like what are you even doing?
Right.
Now the beach wheelchairs, maybe they were delayed, but like they should have figured that out
ahead of time.
They really should have figured that out.
Especially if you're gonna have like
borrow
a media
some from
day
Castaway Cay. Like
something.
do what you got to do. Like they should have figured that out. So that was a bummer. That was I feel like they, and not only did they not like, if they had supply chain whatever issues, I can understand that, but then they should have told us before we got off the ship. So I blame them for not telling us before we got off the ship that there was going to be no beach wheelchair there when they told us there would be beach wheelchairs. I'm not happy about that.
They do have cast members around different areas, so you can like ask questions and things like that, like the water stations, the food stations, things like that. Mm-hmm. Because I noticed that the water and like soda stations, they're not accessible height. Mm-hmm. So again, yeah, there's a cast member there, but people may not always want to ask the cast member to help them get some water or soda. Mm-hmm. But it's something else that's little minor things that, again, unless you're in a wheelchair, you may not think about it. It's not that important, but it is important for us. Yeah. So Serenity Bay is the adult-only section. Mm-hmm. And so they have several of the paid-for cabanas. 2 of the cabanas are accessible. Mm-hmm. They look fairly large, what I assume be more expensive also.
Yeah, so they have like a standard size, and then they have, I think they call it like a grand cabana, where you can fit up to like 16 people in there. So I don't know that they have that at Castaway. I think that's a new thing for here, because they have that in both accessible and not accessible, the grand cabanas. I think there's 2 grand cabanas in Serenity Bay. There is not, however, beach access at Serenity Bay. So you have to go over to the family beach and then
go that way,
and then walk across the beach, which it's not easy.
Yeah, they do have ramps inside of the cabana going down to the sand, but
you can't. It goes to the part before the sand dunes. So it's like there's sand, there's the beach, there's a sand dune, and then there's these other sort of sand areas where they do have lounge chairs. And so if you just wanted to sit there and enjoy the sun, that's fine, but you're not getting to the water.
So that was Serenity Bay. Serenity Bay is an 18 only plus section. So I do not recall when I was walking around, I do not recall seeing kids. No. But again, that was like that section. What was there?
There's also apparently fewer kids on the sailing than normal for June, which is funny because for us it's a lot more kids than we're used to, because we usually cruise in the winter,
fall,
and the fall when school's still in. But there's 900 kids on this sailing, so that's less than half of the capacity, which is uncommon.
Wow. Okay.
So there are fewer kids, so Serenity Bay, I went out for a bit on Serenity Bay. He couldn't. And the water is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, pictures of the water.
The beach is wonderful. They need more chairs. And there was a lot of chair saving and people
reserving
reserving more chairs than they had people, which was a little crummy. Because there's lounge chairs, and there's also just chairs that you could put close to the water, and so people would reserve both for themselves.
I guess the first day people are still trying to enjoy themselves. I can understand that a little bit, but
and people are gonna so they need more chairs. And there's plenty of space for more chairs. Perhaps the chairs are on the same truck as the beach wheelchairs. Because there was plenty of space for them. They just didn't have them. And they need more umbrellas as well, because it is hot.
It was hot today, guys.
And there's just no cover. There's no shade anywhere. It's
no shade near the water. But
No,
during
there's no shade. Well, okay, there's a couple of structures.
for
So
the
like
picnic.
if you go in the structures, but there's no natural shade because
Okay.
all the trees are this big, So
Oh yeah, a lot of nice. The greenery is pretty too. The
Yes.
greenery is very nice. It looks like
gorgeous.
I have a picture of something called a grape, sea grape tree, SEA grape tree, which I have to go look up later now that I got my iPad. But gotta figure out what that is. Like, what is a sea grape?
Yeah, they like labeled some of the trees kind of like Epcot style, right? With
Yeah.
the, like, which was nice. So you
If
could,
anybody
like,
knows what a sea grape is, please let me know.
going back to the fact that this is like Bahamas, Disney style, not a Disney island. There's a nature trail. Now the nature trail was not complete. It will be accessible eventually. There's going to be an accessible path and a not accessible path.
Okay.
And and the nature trail you will go and there will be like some guides where you'll be able to see like, oh, and this kind of animal and this kind of thing and this kind of tree. So that will be something that will be available eventually, not right now. There's still a lot of construction going on.
Yeah.
And which made for a very dusty path on the tram. I spent a lot of time like covering my eyes, and so like wear sunglasses or something, and be prepared if you're sensitive to that kind of thing. Like I have a lot of allergies, and I was like, yeah, sand in my face is not gonna be a good thing. There's a lot still under construction. Like
Yeah.
they are not done, which, I mean, we kind of knew going into an inaugural there was a chance, but I thought they'd do a little better than
Me
this.
too. Yeah.
There's a lot of construction. There's a lot of things not available. A lot of people's excursions got canceled. We did not book any excursions because there were no accessible excursions.
So yeah.
Another big thing that happened on Lookout Cay that I think we need to talk about is the flies.
Do you want to gross them out with the flies?
I think they need to know.
You sure?
Yes. When you want to know?
Okay. The flies.
So here's the thing. Disney has said, I've been told, that they're blaming the crabs. Because of all the crabs attract flies. I don't know if that's true. All I know is that I grew up going to Jersey beaches. I know some flies on beaches. No, this was way worse than the worst of the Jersey beaches. This, it's
You have to see it to believe, to see it to really understand it.
like,
And so,
we have, did you get pictures of the food?
no, I didn't put your
Okay.
food. No.
So there are multiple pictures on the internet of food
Flies
being
being
served,
attacked by
and
food being attacked
no,
by.
in the serving area, like you go to grab your hamburger and there's 6 flies on it, like not just one, 6 crawling on it. Like it's bad. There was a lot of people throwing out their meals, realizing that they had been contaminated. There were a lot of people who saw the preview videos, like Ben and David covered it really well, and as did we. So we didn't cover it. We saw theirs, and so we chose to not eat on the island. We had breakfast, and then we came back here for lunch, and which isn't ideal, especially when it's so far away.
Yeah.
But there was just no way that I was gonna eat food there. And
They did have those little fan thingies, those little fan twirly fan
they were
thingies.
doing nothing. They were doing
Oh,
nothing.
okay.
I mean, so Disney went into it clearly knowing that this was going to be a problem. They had these little fans that were there to try to detract the flies, but they were no match to the flies. You saw people who did choose to eat. They were like, covering their food and then like, quick, take some and put the napkin back and like it was like a whole thing. Before lunch was served, so this was around 11 o'clock, I was feeling a little overwhelmed by the heat, so I went and sat down in an area that eventually was a dining area, and it was fine. Like the breeze was coming through, it was very comfortable. I was able to get some cups of water. It was able to, it gave me what I needed to give.
No flies.
A couple of flies. Flies you would expect to be outside, right? We're outside. Then 11:30 came, and they opened the food, and then people started bringing their food to the tables. Holy cow! It was just like, and I was like, okay, it's time to go
Time
now,
to- yeah.
right? And so we left because I was like, like,
Yeah.
nope. Like they're flying at you, like they're very aggressive. It was a lot. So apparently Disney had a 1.5 hour meeting today with the food service staff to talk about the fly problem. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
I took a picture of when I got back to the ship, I saw that the flies had like attached themselves to the ropes.
No, I thought you saw something else first, right? I thought you said it looked like something else at first.
No, I was watching the people come back from the port.
Right.
And then I kind of like adjusted my eyes and looked closer to me, right? Because I was looking out. And then when I came back and I looked and I was like,
What
those
is that?
are flies. Those are flies covering, like the rope's not bumpy, it's just flies. I took a picture. I showed my
Server?
our server tonight, and he like took a picture of my phone, like he wanted to show people, like the cast, the
Managers.
the food service cast is well aware of the fly problem, and they don't have a lot of solutions, but they know they have to address it. So I don't know if they're gonna have to change. Like they need some screens, maybe they need to do like serve food in a different way. But you can't have food like, I mean, the covers had flies in them, like bleh. So the fly problem is a big problem.
Yeah, you may have to be
So
aware of that.
eat first.
Recommended.
That's our recommendation.
Pro
If you're
tip.
coming here soon, eat on the ship. Another thing to know, if you have a balcony, maybe don't open your balcony while you're here, because a lot of people were finding flies in their rooms because the flies that
Migrate.
There's just so much fly activity at Lookout Cay that, you know, they were coming on the ship. People were having to like shoo them out of the room. So like, you know, just know that
If you have a fly phobia,
I mean, if you just don't want your room full of flies, like, it doesn't have to be a phobia. I just don't want my room full of flies.
I wonder what a fly phobia is called.
I'm sure you can look it up.
Okay. Somebody look up for me.
So the beach, so I will say the beach was very calm, very relaxing.
Yeah.
When I was in the water, the water is like purely clear, like absolutely the clearest water I think I've ever seen. When you're looking out on the ocean, it's this pretty turquoise color. I couldn't get my camera to like capture the color quite right.
I got some colors near the ship, I think.
But it was just, I mean, it's gorgeous. Everything just, it felt like you were in a 3D movie. Like, it was just, everything was just so crisp. And, like, even without my glasses on, I was like, it's just so crisp here. Like, it was, so it's beautiful.
Recommend, yes. Coming here, yes.
I mean,
But
I
there's
saw somebody, so I'm in a WhatsApp group and a Facebook group of people that are, you know, on the ship now, and somebody said they probably are going to give it a year before they come back here. I think that's fair. I think that, like,
Okay.
especially if you are someone who needs this place to be accessible, and you have, you know, mobility challenges and all that.
Right,
like,
yeah, give it time.
I would give it time. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
okay.
rush out here. I would keep watching for, you know, keep watching
Improvements.
videos and see, and hopefully somebody else will do updates on. I know it's hard to find updates on the mobility stuff. That's why we do what we're doing.
Yeah.
But and if we hear things, we'll try to do another video, even though I don't think we're coming here. But I would give it a year. It needs some time they need some time to get this worked out. It was enough that it was hard. By the time we got back, we were both exhausted. I slept for like 3 hours. And which, you know, I'm not usually a middle of the day napper, but from all that heat and just having constantly on you and you know, the other, you know, remember, especially if you're in a chair, if you don't sweat, you want to bring a mister or something.
Right.
If you don't, you know, like a lot of times people who have quadriplegia have trouble, you know,
regulating the body temperature and stuff like
that's
that.
What I wanted. And so you need to, and there's not a lot of shade, so you need to be extra careful.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you know, otherwise you could just get in the shade for a little while. That's really not a thing here as easily. Yes, there are structures, so you would have to like go under one of the structures, but you know, you're going to be limited in that. So just take your time, stay, if you're coming here soon, stay hydrated. I wish we had one of those mister fans.
Yeah.
So that would be something I would, add on the list for next time. And take your time.
Right.
Find shade where you can find it. Take breaks. And maybe don't plan to be out there all day.
Right. Yeah. Initial impressions, good. I would give it a B.
I'm giving them a C- because of those wheelchairs being missing and them not telling us about it.
Okay.
I'm a little mad about that.
Okay.
They should have told us.
Right.
Things happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Communication is free.
Yeah.
They could have. Now we knew it because we watched the Ben and David video. Ben and David, I know you'll never see this, but thank you very much for all of the help that you gave us. Without that video, we would have been surprised. And so that's just not okay. And there's a couple other weird things. Like we met, there's a woman named Beth who's on the ship, and she was telling us about her experience, which was helpful. Like she came off earlier, and both she and her son are in wheelchairs, so she had double the experience. And there were a couple of places where she went to go down a ramp, and then the sand had sort of washed up on the ramp, which would have made it difficult for a lot of wheelchairs to then get past it. So so there's definitely some growing pains and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that I expect to happen on an inaugural, is them trying to figure that out.
Beach wheelchairs.
Beach wheelchairs and not telling us that they don't exist.
Yeah.
But so that's day 3 of this cruise. And we've gone to dinner. We had dinner at Enchanted Enchanted Garden, and it was fine. And we put in some footage of things we ate. I had the cucumber roll, which was sort of weird and boring. I don't think I'd get that again. And I also had the
caramelized scallops,
which it normally comes with couscous. They subbed it with potatoes for me. Potatoes was a weird choice, but otherwise it was good. It was, it wasn't like the best thing I've ever eaten, but it was good. What did you have?
I had the tuna and avocado tower, and then also had a bowl of cream of asparagus soup, which interesting to try, but I don't think I would get it again.
Okay.
And then I also had the scallops, but I had mine with couscous, which was pretty good. Mm-hmm. Overall, pretty good. And then for dessert, I had a chocolate sundae.
Time for bed. So we have our tea supplies. So we got room service to bring us some tea, and so we are going to call it a night. And we'll see you tomorrow for Nassau Day, which is code for Stay on the Ship Day. So until next time, stay strong,
stay creative,
and keep exploring. We'll see you in the next video.
Bye.